think I still got it here. Yeah. It's on study finds, yeah? It says, scared to death. Doctor says patients with serious diseases are dying from fear of C19. So people are dying from fear of this thing going around more than the ailments they have, man. Said modern medicine can do amazing things for even the most critically ill patient, but it can't do a thing if they don't seek treatment. More people are dying from heart and respiratory conditions, which don't usually lead to death, and avoiding medical care may be why Dr. Joseph S. Alpert, editor-in-chief of the American Journal of Medicine, says the cause is simple: fear. Yeah, you got people that they might have got an injury of some kind, and all they need to do is go to what do you call it? Go to the GP or go to the dentist. They might even break a fucking sprain their ankle or some shit, you know, throw out their hip, and then they're not gonna basically go and treat it, because what they're thinking, if they go to the hospital, they go to the GP, they might catch, you know, the boogeyman, this thing going around, man. But it says what Alpert says, although he's seeing the same mix of non-C inpatients entering hospitals, those with heart failure or COPD, these people are much sicker and closer to death than in pre-pandemic days. At times, 1/3 of our internal medicine patients were receiving consultations from palliative care service and were being considered for inpatient or home hospice. In the past, the usual situation involved no patient or only one individual being considered for hospice. Yeah, because people don't want to go into the hospital, man. People are living in fear. It even says, why are hospital patients sicker during C19? This is what the answer was simple, declares Alpert. Patients were avoiding hospitals as much as possible because they fear acquiring a lethal C infection on top of their chronic illness. For some reason, many hospitalized patients refuse post-discharge physical therapy or inpatient hospice transfer following acute care. So people are even that's a thing. People are so in terror, they're gonna have some ailment and then not even do anything about it, because they'll just be like, oh well, I don't want to get that, I don't want to get the other one. But it shows, hey, people are, their minds have been fried by this whole circumstance, man. This whole situation has essentially been brought to a point where they can't even things that wouldn't even be an issue before are now deadly. And that's why this thing, this whole lockdown, it's achieved a lot, but not. That's why it's like what people think it's for, it's definitely not, man. Okay. So like in Psalm 64, verse 6 says, they search out iniquities, they accomplish a diligent search. Both the inward thought of every one of them and the heart is deep. Yeah, they accomplish that diligent search. And that's what search out iniquities. Esau has come up with all manners and methods of ways to mess with people's minds and basically to get them to comply with his program. Because if you consider, this is like, through this whole circumstance, hey, everyone's become super just on the enforcement of government rules, man. Because like whether it's wearing masks or getting a max, all these different things, they're essentially everyone's taken up the cause. To where now it's like, if you're not doing it, all the other people around you are going to be looking at you and basically, because these guys are scared, they're in fear, they're in terror, and they don't have any faith in anything except for the system. These guys are thinking, Boris Johnson actually cares about them, man. But that's what this thing's achieved. It's basically put complete. I remember when the lockdown started, and it was essentially like daily or every other day or every 2 or 3 days, 3 times a week, when Boris used to do those addresses saying, oh, blah blah blah, this is what we're gonna do, all this. People would be criticizing it, up and down, saying, oh, why is he saying this? He said one thing, then he said another, and they said, oh, blah blah blah. All these critiques of it, but then that's still what they're looking to for how they're going to operate, how they're going to function, man. They're basically looking to the government to tell them what to do, man, to tell them how to be safe, and that's because people are bugged out, man. They're basically they're in a mindset, they're in the whole they're so in the system, and they've bought the lie of the system as well, man. Which is what basically they're saying that like there's so, Esau's essentially it's the idea that Esau's mastered the earth, man, which is some BS, because like when you deal with the oceans, Esau ain't plumbed the depths of the oceans. That's why you had the essentially the challenge set to Esau. What was it? How's it worded? Nah, I can't find it. Don't remember the wording, but essentially when Esau's offered if you can measure the heavens, then then you can be saved. No, I can't find it. Yeah, I can't find it. But yeah, as far as what with Jesus, all these nations, they're basically looking at Esau like he's conquered the whole earth, man. Like he's just the smartest, most achieved. He's basically got the whole earth earth tamed. But that's completely false. And that's the thing is, that pride, that's part of why Esau's gonna fall. This guy is like it says, he's wiser than Daniel. He's been given, you know, a level of wisdom, basically to do certain things that hasn't been around before. But what? It's for a purpose. The same thing. It's like a lot of this. It's like technology development of what? Of the internet, of nuclear weaponries. You know, all these different systems Esau's been able to build. It's why. It's for the sake of, a lot of it's for the sake of prophecy. Even when you deal with airplanes and shit, you go into Revelation 9, man. It's for the sake of prophecy. And that's the thing, is with Esau don't know what the hell's he doesn't realize just because the Lord put a spirit on him to build up these things, that doesn't mean that he's the great one, man. He's been set up. But and that's as well. That's what all the people on the earth are buying into, man. They're buying into that mindset of that belief that what Esau is, you know, he's that great. That's why they think he's never going to go down. Also because of Hollywood as well. Because as far as history's been completely whitewashed. So now everyone thinks every historical figure was an Edomite. And then when you have that in your mind, you're thinking these guys have been around. These guys have been ruling for the last like 4,000 years. What the fuck? How are we even gonna be able to do anything? But that's why it's a matter of it comes down to faith, and it's really for the elect. Because why? It's as far, by and large, 2/3 of Israel are going to be invested in Esau and his system. But then even more so, that means all these other Edomites, all these people in the world, they're essentially completely tied onto this, man. It's not until until Esau's revealed for the man who he is. That's when they're gonna come back to their senses. That's the same thing. It's like with Egypt. When Egypt was destroyed, them men were done. They weren't of any significance, man. It was a wrap. They were just any other nation after that. And that's the thing is, afterwards, then what? Israel got to be in their own power, but then also other nations raised them up. But it's like what? When Babylon got set up, then Babylon was the chief power on the earth. Then Media, Persia, Greece, Rome, all these different systems. They're all set up, man. Before then, they weren't the biggest nation on the earth, man. They didn't have to rule. It's passed round. And that's the thing. It's passed to Esau again. Let me read this, man. Revelation 20. Revelation 20:2. And he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years, and cast him into the bottomless pit, and shut him up, and set a seal upon him, that he should deceive the nations no more, till the 1,000 years be fulfilled, and after that he must be loosed a little season. So yeah, that's what we're in. That's what we're dealing with. As far as it goes for Esau, this present rulership, man, all these desolate places have been built up. Because you go around the earth, everywhere you see in these high-rise buildings, these skyscrapers, this Edomite construction, everyone's molded and followed after the style of how Esau set up his set up his cities. But then what? That's only for a little season, man. says what? And after that, he must be loosed a little Caesar. This is the little Caesar, because when you deal with real history, Esau ain't been ruling for thousands of years. This guy's just been rejuvenated, man, and only for a little while. Read this. Job 30:1. But now they that are younger than I have me in derision, whose fathers I would have disdained to set with the dogs of my flock. Yea, whereto might the strength of their hands profit me, in whom old age was perished? For want and famine they were solitary, fleeing into the wilderness, in former time desolate and waste. Yeah, it said what? Would have disdained to set these guys with the dogs of the flock. Because why? Esau, he's man is having sexual relations with animals, man, which is something completely off according to the scriptures. But you got evidence of that in the modern times, man. Hella stories of all kinds of criminality, man. Even what's his name, David Cameron, man, pig fucker. But says what? Yea, whereto might the strength of their hand? Oh wait, no. Says what? So for want and famine they were solitary, fleeing into wilderness, in former time desolate and waste. Yeah, these guys had to live out in the wilderness. Why? Because no one wanted them around. And this, yeah. So who cut mallows by the bushes and juniper roots for their meat? They were driven forth from among men. They cried after them as after a thief, to dwell in the cliffs of the valleys, in the caves of the earth, and in the rocks. And yeah, that's that what's it called? The Caucasus Mountains, man. That true heritage of Esau. That's the thing is right now we're the Esau that's on display is the one that Market has built, where he's basically been able to completely get as far away as possible from his true heritage as that Caucasoid caveman, and then push himself out as what? As, you know, a slick businessman in a suit. You know, he's talking around, he's got money, he's got people sitting there standing, listening to, oh, so interesting, wow, so intriguing, you're so interested. You know, all that new image, man, which is really Hollywood, that James Bond image, that's all Hollywood, man. When you go on TV and watch these Edomites getting interviewed, man, these guys aren't suave or charming. Says, they were children of fools, yea, children of base men. They were viler than the earth. And it says, and now am I their song, yea, I am their byword. Yeah, that's the terror of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. Because what? The basis of men has basically been set over the earth. He's been given power over the earth. He's been given a rule. So then and that's the thing is for Jake, what we're now their byword. This guy's going around that even the word nigger, man, that shit is still a weapon. You still got Jake hitching a fit when they hear that word to this day. That's how successful the destruction of Israel's been by Esau. This guy's done what? It says what? They abhor me, they flee far from me, and spare not to spit in my face. Yeah, now it's the tables have been turned. The situation's been flipped to where now it's what you call it? They spare not to spit in my face. Yeah, to where now for Jake, man, we're the ones who are looked down upon, we're the ones cast out. And then in society, what we're in of that lower state, which hey, that's it's a spirit. Because why? What was Jake built for? Jake was built to be ruling over the earth, man. They're meant to be a special people unto Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. But then what? For a punishment, that was we'll put on the bottom. And then what? Those who are on the bottom, Esau, is now at the top, which is why you have everything being completely backwards, man. It says what? Because he hath loosed my cord and afflicted me, they have also let loose the bridle before me. Upon my right hand rise a youth, they push away my feet, they rise up against me the ways of their destruction. They mar my path, they set forward my calamity, and they have no helper. They came upon me as a wide breaking in of waters. In the desolation, they rolled themselves upon me. Terrors are turned upon me. They pursue my soul as the wind, and my welfare passeth away as a cloud. And now my soul is poured out upon me. The days of affliction have taken hold of me. Yeah, so Jake is now in that destroyed, despised state where Esau was. And that's how cold Yahweh Hashem Yahushua is. Because that's why the judgment's going to be even more. Because, let me get Hosea 1. That's another factor of why this judgment's going to be so great. Because why? Presently, you've got Jake being despised, Jake being on the low end of society, whilst Esau is what? He's in that high position. He's in he sets pace for what's accepted and done in society. But what? It's all of that is going to be the true levels are going to be revealed in the end. Hosea 1 and 10 says, "Yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured nor numbered." And even that's a beautiful thing, man. If you consider like with Abraham and Sarah being up in age, it's a miracle that they had a child at all, let alone that from that, from them barely being able to conceive, happening through the spirit, to what? An innumerable number of Israelites on the earth. That's the beauty of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. That's why you shouldn't really. That's as well why you gotta be spiritual when it comes to the truth. You gotta know, like, the Lord can have things go down how He desires, man. So it says what? And it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, "Ye are not my people," there it shall be said unto them, "Ye are the sons of the living power." That's so cool. Yeah, ye are the sons of the living power. Because why? Right now, very few people are talking about how the so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native American Indians are the sons of the living power. That's something that's not understood. It's not recognized. But it's the state of Israel, man. These guys in the state of Israel, these so-called JOOs, these guys are the ones that are basically have their identity on them. So what? When it's flipped and it's revealed, hey, the true Israelites is what? It's who? It's those who have been looked down on, those who have been downtrodden. Because that's the thing as well. Is Esau. When you deal with these guys in the state of Israel, they've managed to become the ultimate victim on earth. Despite being in the top upper crust of society, they're basically the elites of their nation, rule over various different entities of society. But then what? They're still. It's like you say certain things against them, it's a wrap. In media, it's certain things just can't be said. You talk about them, it's a wrap. Even on YouTube, you mention them in a certain way, it's like zoop, video's gone, channel's gone. And that's how Esau gets down. It says what? Then shall the children of Judah and the children of Israel be gathered together, and appoint themselves one head, and they shall come up out of the land, for great shall be the day of Jezreel. Yeah, So Israel, Jacob, Judah and Israel, the northern kingdom, the southern kingdom, basically coming back together, and that's something that's not happened. That's how you know those guys in the land now don't fit the prophecy. But what the main thing is it being revealed who the who the true Israelites are, and basically Jake getting put into that position of being acknowledged as the Hebrew Israelites, man. Because that's something that's not done. It's not done presently, and hey, it's going to come as a shock. That's why it's Yahushua's return as well. Yahushua's return is going to be a shock, because people are going to be expecting. They've got that image of Cesare Borgia in their mind, man. They're going to be shocked. So what was it? Okay, Isaiah 14. So Isaiah 14, I'll start from verse 9. It says, hell from beneath is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming. It stirreth up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth. It hath raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations. All they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou become weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? Thy pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of thy vials. The worm is spread under thee, and the worms cover thee. Yeah, basically Esau's power has been fading, man. All the when you go back to like the, let's say just after World War II, during that time, no one was really looking to challenge the West. No one's really looking to challenge Britain or America. They all kind of reverenced in society. But now we're in a time of what? That's been fading and chipped away for a while. Big part of that was like what? Scandal. Let me get. Back in Psalm 64, skip down a bit. It says what? Psalm 64 and 8. So they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away. Yeah, their own tongues falling on themselves. Because a big part of why everyone's become disenchanted with Britain, with the US, is what the truth being revealed about what these guys have been doing. And it's happened throughout like the 80s as well, 80s and 90s with various scandals. But then the biggest way it's been happening more recently is since the internet became a thing. Because since the internet's been a thing, people, anyone with a phone, anyone with a phone and internet connection, you can basically record incidents, man, and basically point out the lies in what's being reported. Because when you deal with mainstream media, that goes hand in glove with Hollywood, man. Just about basically the presentation and giving people, basically pointing out and directing people what they should be focused on, what they should be thinking about. But what it says, their tongue will fall on themselves. So Esau's basically being exposed, man. You got guys like Edward Snowden basically exposing how Esau maintains his control and how he's got people under manners, man. Because what? Back in Isaiah 14 and 10. All they shall speak and say, Verse 12, it says, how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? Yeah. How art thou fallen from heaven? Because what? That so-called ascended state that America, mainly America, has been in, but all of these Western societies is what? Everyone's been looking up to it and reverencing it, man. That's why Edom, back in like 50s, 60s, when them original James Bonds were coming out, in the 60s, what? Esau could go around the earth, and this guy's been, the average Edomite's been looked at like he's some kind of superhero, man. Well, what? That shine, that luster, that's gone, man. That's gone. Now it's that's why I say it's like Americans are one of the most hated people overseas, because everyone's realizing these guys are just ignorant monkeys, man. They're going around, they think they're really on some kind of level, but what, it's been revealed, America ain't that great, man. The infrastructure's a mess. You guys have got a completely corrupt system. It's been exposed. It's just completely corrupt. And as far as even over here in Britain, the whole mess with what's the name, Meghan Markle, Harry, and the royal family, that's essentially just been what, promoting the over here, just like in the States, just like wherever Esau is. Esau's still the same devil that he's been from before. Which you know, it's not a marvel for brothers, but then what? Esau's been putting out that propaganda, man, putting out that image, basically presenting himself as what? As if he's on some kind of, you know, he's basically presenting himself as an angel of light, where he's meant to be the righteous. He's going around saving the world, saving all kinds, which that's completely opposite of what anyone who knows anything is what he's actually been doing, man. When you deal with these military interventions, they say they're going bringing democracy, saving the world, whatever. It's like with Syria. Now that's why it's now it's at the point where everyone knew that airstrike on Syria, that was just some BS. Whatever kind of justification they're trying to use for it, it's basically warmongering, and that's what America's always done. Because before, people would have bought like, oh, you know, they would have just been able to slap together some BS and stick it on the news and say, oh, it's justified, blah, blah, blah. But now it's been revealed, what, it's warmongering. A lot of guys that were in these countries that, where they've been getting fucked up by the US, that's like even Iraq. You had the guys that, I think Blackwater troops, I believe they were, mercenaries, that were pardoned by Trump on like one of his last few, maybe his last week. The last few days, the presidential pardon, he basically pardoned them from, like, what is it, killing, murdering, raping up a whole village. Them men were doing a madness. I think they were even on death row. Well, what? They were, what's it called, man? They were pardoned. Because why? It's the whole system's corrupt, man. The whole thing's a mess. It's all about it's about money,